Thanks. Hello.
Hey.
Well, we had a much smaller group. I know a couple of you guys. I've known some of you guys actually for a long time, since you guys were kids. And I'm happy to meet the rest of you. My name's Lori Tapahonso, and I am going to talk to you today about stories, but also about maybe a different life view than what you guys have grown up with. I'm Navajo, or Dene, and we're from the Four Corners. Oh, no, it's okay. I won't have you pull out the map, but the Four Corners area of the United States, we're right about 15 miles inside of the New Mexico corner of that, which is where I'm from. And our reservation encompasses part of New Mexico, a good portion of Arizona, and part of Utah. And we have the largest land base of any tribe, which means we have a lot of people, but by sheer numbers, the Cherokee Nation has the largest number of American Indians. But our tribal land base is the largest one. So we go home, my family and I, my daughter's here, Chamisa Edmo. She just graduated this past May. And I have two daughters, Chamisa and Brianna. And some of you guys know Brianna. I think you guys probably, those of you here, are familiar with Brianna, who've gone to school. And Chamisa, her gang's already gone. So, and we've been here. They grew up here. They were born and raised in Lawrence, much like a lot of you guys. And but they're very different. So, you know, when we talk about identity, and my identity is even more, has been challenged. I've had to look at myself and my daughters a little differently than maybe myself at their age. They were both, you know, raised with the same mom, raised with the same family, yet they've already have taken such different paths as far as self-identity and how they identify as one, Native women, but also as Navajo women, Navajo young women. Chamisa came to Free State. She went to Central, Pinckney, and always just had groups, really good pockets of friends all over. She didn't ever have, you know, one group she hung out with a lot. She was always friends with a lot of different kinds of people, Brianna's much the same way, my younger daughter, but she's has chosen a different type of identity for herself, or expressing her identity. She came to Free State for 1 year and just felt like it just wasn't for her. So right now she's going to school at Kickapoo Nation School, which is the only Bureau of Indian Education school in this region. The nearest one would be in Oklahoma, the next nearest one. And so she's going to school an hour and a half. She gets up at 6 in the morning, has a bus ride for an hour and a half, gets to school, gets home at about 5:30 every day. That's a sacrifice she wants to make because she feels comfortable in an environment where she's surrounded by about 95% other Indian kids. So that's her environment. That's where she feels her identity can blossom differently than Chamisa's. So it's really interesting how when we look at who we are as people, we have the same underlying factor maybe as all people do, but we express ourselves differently, and culture's one, of course race is another, and personal experiences are another. So real important how we shape ourselves as human beings. Navajo people, or Dene as we call ourselves, and I'll talk to you about our experience as Dene people specifically. As you guys are learning, there are hundreds of different types of tribes, and all different languages, different cultures, different stories, different traditions. The ones I'm going to explain today are specifically Navajo, although there's similarities in other tribes, you know, with our stories and stuff. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is being Dene, and my experience growing up, and what I am learning has made me the person I am today. When a child's born into this world in our culture, they're born intelligent beings. Babies are considered just as smart as an elder. You're born with all the knowledge you need in life already at birth, as opposed to maybe the way we look at babies today, where, you know, babies don't know much, they don't understand, you know, people typically don't acknowledge kids unless they're cute. So it's a different way of looking at children. But all children are born intelligent beings. So they're born with all that knowledge within themselves. And as they go in life, our job as parents and as family is to guide them on a path that will lead them to better understanding and enlightenment. So every time we have an experience, I would be your experience for the day. I'm going to unlock a little piece of knowledge that you guys already have in you, that you just have not realized yet. So that could be a look at diversity. It could be, you know, for you, a new understanding of a people, of a culture. For some of us here that are from tribes, different tribes, it could be an understanding of your own tribe in a different way. So everybody, as you travel from birth till death, you have different experiences that are keys to unlocking knowledge. And our job is to guide those children and keep them on the right path so they continue to grow. And by the time you're an elder in the winter of your life, before you pass on, you're an enlightened being. You have had all the keys. You've lived your life so that, you know, your goal is to live your life so that by the end of your life, you're enlightened and you're able to give that light back to somebody else as you start a new phase, which is after this world. So, and every time there's a new phase of your life, for example, those of you who are going to get ready to graduate, you know, you're going to regenerate, you're going to start a new cycle of life. So, where in mainstream society we're told that life begins at birth, it ends at death, depending on what your religious beliefs are, you'll go on, you'll not, you know, who knows. The way Diné people believe is it's all circular, it's always regenerating, life is always regenerating just like seasons. So our lives constantly regenerate, which means you make mistakes on life, you can always go back, there's time to fix them. You'll always have another opportunity to regenerate yourself and start a whole new life. So real important, a foundational belief that believes that you'll never not be able to redo again. You'll always be able to change the path that you're on to get on the right path. How do we do that? How do we guide these kids? Well, stories are one. And for Diné people, stories are vital. They're vital. Storytelling happens from the moment a child's born, through song, typically when they're real little, singing a lot of songs. They hear songs and music, and those songs have stories in them, a lot like other tribes. And then when they're old enough to start sitting, maybe 2 or 3 years old, and listening to stories, then we start telling them entertaining stories. They're fun, they're entertaining, about animal people, about people who are, these are beings that are animal and can talk. So they have human characteristics, but they can talk to each other, they can communicate. And those were the first inhabitants of this earth before the humans came here. So those stories will explain why animals look a certain way, or why the world is the way it is. They are stories about how things came to be. We could tell those stories about, I'm going to tell you one about sunshine, I'm going to tell you one. You know, kids when they're real little, you guys hear them always say, why? Well, how come?